There was a curious boy who grew up in a village called Orquevaux in France. He loved to sing, write, and play pretend, and his mother taught him to dance. He was lively and joyful and knew the fables of the forest, not far from his home chateau. The villagers warned him to stay awake, walk fast, they said, not slow. We've heard there's dark magic in those woods, and the wicked old witch to boot. But the boy became extra curious because he didn't give a hoot. He'd heard the owls singing at night of the creatures they'd seen in the woods. Colorful, magical, powerful ones. And he suspected they could be good. He hoped to find magic in his life. He wanted to become a majestic being. But the villagers, his friends, and all the town laughed because they simply didn't believe him. So one day, the boy snuck away to begin his personal venture. He knew the risk it would entail, but he also believed in adventure. So he walked to the edge of the cursed woods and stood on the edge by the bridge, because he'd been warned if you try to cross, you're met by a terrible witch. And sure enough, she appeared as a gruesome wonder. Startling him, she stood right in his face, and she warned him with a scowl in her musty breath that this was a terrible place. You don't want to go there, she warned him. You don't know what this magic can do. But he mustered all of his courage and said, "What I don't know about is you." The witch just laughed at the young man's spunk, and she did an excited dance. Oh, she smirked, a courageous one. Perhaps we should give him a chance. So she had the boy take a seat in the grass, and she regaled him with tragic stories. She told him of all who had come before, so many who had never reached the glory. Now, she said, are you ready to quit? You will never get rewarded. Quit, scoffed the young man. I haven't even gotten started. So she told him the rules of the magical world. She said, these creatures will come to kill you. Each one will come to take your life, but I will advise you as what to do. But the young man stood with a resolute smile and said, I want to believe in magic. The witch squealed in wicked glee. Oh, they're gonna let you have it. And the boy heard a creature crash through the woods, and the witch screamed, meet the stag of self-doubt. The creature stood at his fullest horn height and shook his head all about. Kill him, the witch demanded the young man. Don't you find the sight of him alarming? But the brave boy stood his ground, took a breath, and actually considered disarming. He looked the powerful stag in the eye, moved close and put his arm around his neck. The witch thought the boy would die for sure, but when she stopped to check, the stag opened his heart in submission as the boy gave the stag his trust. So the stag bowed low and honored him, giving him a confidence that wouldn't rust. The witch bellowed in agony because she wanted the boy to fail. She laughed at him in derision. Silly boy, this is not the end of your tale. She clapped her hands loudly to the sky and shrilled, come and get his heart. And there appeared in the sky the dark hawk of self-sabotage, ready to tear him apart. The hawk beat his wings with fervor and screeched the loudest sound he could. The boy was instantly terrified, and his legs seemed to turn to wood. The witch was enjoying the drama, and she continued to egg the hawk on. Tear out his eyes so he cannot see, or he'll just string you along. But the boy looked deep into the hawk's piercing eyes and saw an alternate story. And so he bowed to the hawk. "Can you teach me to fly so that I can experience your glory?" In that moment, the boy grew wings and his eyes became clear with vision. The witch blew fire and turned to him and said, "Now I have made my decision." She suddenly turned into a terrible dragon and she swore, "You will never hurt me." The young man stood his ground and whispered, "Let me tell you what I see. I see the fear you've suffered from thinking that you will never be good enough. But fear and anger or bullying others will never make you truly tough. If we can love with humility and gentleness and stop hurting others and ourselves, we could live in a world of magic where it's safe to be fairies and elves." Then a single tear ran down her face, and the bloated witch began to melt. Because since the curse had come to her, she'd forgotten how love felt. And then suddenly, there was no longer a witch and a scared little boy. There stood a king and a queen with hearts full of unbridled, unlimited joy. And from that day, they ruled the land from a beautiful, magical chateau, making magic with a group of celestial beings in a village called Orquevaux.